Hello friends, this video on metal and non-metal part 18 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Before watching this video, please make sure that you have watched part 1 to part 17. So the question says the metallic oxide of zinc, manganese and copper are heated with the following metals. Which of this will have a displacement reaction? So we know that manganese is stronger than zinc, is stronger than copper. This we know because we have manganese, zinc and copper involved. So this series we know, right? So zinc will not react with zinc oxide, manganese oxide will not react with manganese, and copper oxide will not react with copper. This we can directly cut, right? Now when you talk about zinc, will zinc react with zinc displace manganese oxide? No. Why? Because zinc is weaker than manganese oxide. Will zinc displace copper? Yes. So it will displace copper from copper oxide. Magnesium. Will magnesium displace zinc oxide? Yes, it can, right? Because magnesium is stronger than copper. Will magnesium displace copper? Yes, magnesium can displace because magnesium is stronger than copper. Will copper displace zinc? Copper is weaker than zinc. No. Will copper displace magnesium? No. So this is my solution. Very simple. You just need to know the reactivity order. Which metal do not corrode easily? Answer is gold. Gold doesn't corrode. You know that? It's very less reactive. Which of the following pair will give you displacement reactions? I have NaCl solution and copper metal. So in this case, if you see, my copper is more reactive than silver. We know that. So copper will displace silver from this. This is true. Silver is less reactive than iron, so it won't do. Aluminium is less reactive than magnesium, it won't replace. Copper is less reactive than sodium, it won't replace. So in this case, the only solution is this guy. Why? Because copper is more reactive than silver. Okay. Let's take another question. An element reacts with oxygen to give a compound which is a high melting point. This compound is insoluble in water. The element is likely to be calcium, carbon, silicon, iron. So we know that so in this case the answer has to be calcium, because calcium when react with oxygen to form a compound which is high melting point. Iron is gives rust. Silicon, carbon, no much. Calcium is the one that is the answer. Food cans are coated with tin, not zinc. Why? Because they're given 4 options. Zinc is costly than tin. Zinc has a higher melting point than tin. Zinc is more reactive than tin, and zinc is less reactive than tin. The answer is obviously zinc is more reactive than tin. That's why it is coated with tin, not zinc, right? So this is the answer. Why? Since tin is less reactive and zinc is more reactive, so it is coated with tin, not zinc. Correct? Since zinc is more reactive, it is not coated with zinc. Tin is less reactive, it is coated with tin. You are given a hammer, a bulb, battery, wire and switch. How will you use them to distinguish between the samples of metals and non-metals? So if you see here, with hammer we can use this ductility or malleability property, right? We can just beat it. So we'll beat that particular sample, right? If it is malleable, I can say that it is metal. That is one thing. The second thing, bulb, wire, switch. With this I can check for electrical conductivity. So I have some metal like this. I can put this metal like this. I'll put a battery, right? I'll put a bulb. This wire is there and there's a switch, right? So with this I can check whether this particular metal or this particular sample will conduct or not. So if it glows, that means it is a metal, right? Because metal are good conductor of electricity. So with this 2 property, malleability and electrical conductivity, I can tell whether the sample is metal or not. Correct? Because the first hammer I'll use for malleability, and battery, bulb, wire and switch I'll use for electrical conductivity. Correct? What are amphoteric oxides? Give 2 example of amphoteric oxides. Amphoteric oxides are oxides which are both acidic and basic. Right? For example, Al2O3 is one and zinc oxide is one. They are all amphoteric oxide because they are both acidic and basic. Name two metals which will displace hydrogen from dilute acid and two which will not. So you can see the reactive metals like sodium, potassium, they will displace hydrogen from HCl. And weak metals, for example, you can say that gold, copper, right, silver, this will not displace. Correct? So my strong metals will displace and weak metals will not displace. Correct? The next question says that in an electrolytic refining of a metal, what would you take as anode, cathode and electrolyte? So we know that anode we generally take as impure substance. We take cathode as thin strip of pure metal. We have done for the case of copper, actually we have shown that. And my electrolyte solution is nothing but my metal solution. For example, in case of copper we take copper sulfate, right? So why do like this? Because in case of cathode, if you see, cathode will give this is cathode, which gives a negative charge, right? This anode will give a positive charge. So cathode will give a lot of electrons, and with this electrons, let's suppose copper is my thing, copper sulfate, from copper ions from copper sulfate will dissolve here, and this guy will give a positive charge, so which will help in dissolving copper from this impure copper to copper sulfate solution. That's why we use cathode for in cathode we use a thin strip of pure metal, and anode we use impure metal, and this solution we use is metal solution. Correct? So the question is, what type of oxides are formed when non-metals combine with oxygen? Please know it's non-metal. So generally we get either acidic or neutral. So if you have, let's suppose sulfur, you add with this, you get SO2, that is acidic. You have carbon, you add with this oxygen, you get CO2. So this guy is neutral and this guy is acidic, right? So you either get acidic or neutral oxides when you combine non-metal with oxygen. You have to give reason. First, platinum, gold and silver is used for making jewelry. So for this, the reason is, for this I'll give the reason as, I'll say that they are less reactive. Gold, because they are less reactive, it can use for jewelry. They are corrosion free. They don't corrode. They are malleable, so we can make a jewelry. And they have shine. Since they have shine, they are used to make jewelry. All these reasons I can give. Potassium, lithium and sodium stored under oil, they are very reactive. They are very reactive, and the moment it comes to moist, that is H2 in water or air, it reacts. So that is kept in oil. Aluminium is highly reactive metal. It is used for cooking utensils. That is because we know that aluminium forms oxide Al2O3, right? Aluminium oxide, and this guy is non-reactive. This guy is non-reactive. It is resistant to corrosion. This is non-reactive. I'm talking about aluminium oxide, and aluminium as such is lightweight, right? It is cheap also. It's not very costly, and it is good conductor. That is most important thing, because when you are making a utensil, it has to be good conductor of heat. It has to be good. So aluminium is good conductor of heat. The next question is, you must have seen the tarnished copper vessels cleaned with lemons or tamarind juice. Why? Why are the source substance used for cleaning the vessels? I know the source substances are acidic in nature, right? So if you see this guy lemon has citric acid. So if you see this copper, Copper actually reacts with carbon, it gets CuCO3. Right? When you heat copper, when you use copper a lot, this becomes CuCO3. This is green color, right? This green layer. To remove this, what we use this guy is basic, right? So with this base, I used acid, that is any of this lemon or tamarind, to neutralize this effect and remove this CuCO3. It dissolves this layer. This is the layer, and this layer is dissolved with the acid, correct? Because CuCO3 is a basic layer and dissolves with the acid. A man went to a door-to-door posing a goldsmith. He promised to bring back the glitter of the gold of the old ornaments. A lady gave the old bangles, dipped in the particular solution. The bangles sparkled like a new, but the weight reduced drastically. Lady was upset, but before the argument, this guy ran away. So you want to know what was the solution? We know this. This is a easy one. This was aqua regia. This is 3:1, where I have HCl and HNO3, nitric acid concentrated. We have concentrated HCl nitric acid in 3:1 in fresh prepared, and that is aqua regia. And gold dissolved in this. Gold doesn't dissolve in HCl, gold doesn't dissolve in nitric acid, but in this aqua regia it dissolves. So that particular solution is aqua regia. Give reason why copper is used to make hot water tanks, not steel. I mean, we don't use iron to make hot water tank. If you see the geysers which you have in homes, the hot water geysers, there copper is used. Iron is not used. Why? Because if you see copper and if you see water, if you pass heat also, if you make it warm also, there is no reaction. There is no reaction, right? But if you take iron, but when you take iron, if you see iron and you react with water, you get Fe3O4 plus H2, right? So, I mean, if you balance this becomes this, and you need heat. So if you see, iron reacts with hot water. Copper doesn't react with hot water. And that's why copper is used for making hot water tanks, not the iron. Let's do a recap of what we have learned. Elements can be classified as metals and non-metals, right? You have metals and non-metals. Metals are lustrous, malleable, ductile, good conductor of heat and electricity. They are solids except mercury. But metals, they lose electrons to non-metals. Metals combine with oxygen to form basic oxide, example aluminum oxide, zinc oxide, are example of oxides which show both acidic and basic, and they are called amphoteric oxide. They are exceptions actually, right? And then different metals react with water and acid in a different form, and that's because of the different reactivities they have. And the list of common metals can be arranged in their order of reactivity. That's known as activity series. We have done that using experiments. Metals above hydrogen in the activity series can displace hydrogen from dilute acid. So in the activity series we have hydrogen also. So metals above hydrogen can displace hydrogen from the acid. More reactive metal will displace a less reactive metal from its solution. Metal occurs as a free element or in the form of compound also in the nature. The extraction of the metal from the ore and the refining, the whole thing is called metallurgy. It's a very old process. People have been doing this since long. Alloy is nothing but a homogeneous mixture of two or more metals or metal or non-metals. It has different properties. The surface of some metals such as iron is corroded when they are exposed to moist air for a long time, and this phenomenon is called corrosion. Non-metals have the property exactly opposite of metals. They are neither malleable nor ductile. They are bad conductors of heat except graphite, which is good conductor. And thank you. Visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thanks once again.